The galaxy was a loud place. Always had been. Every species shouted to be heard. Every leader screamed their demands. Every channel was full of noise. The Xylos broadcast propaganda on all frequencies. Their voices never stopped. We are the best, they said. Everyone else is weak. Listen to us or suffer. The Krog screamed threats across star systems. Give us your resources or we will destroy you. Their voices were like thunder. Loud. Scary. Never-ending. The Dragol argued with everyone. They argued with the Xylos. They argued with the Krog. They even argued with themselves. Their meetings lasted for weeks because no one would stop shouting. The Aviar sang war songs. Loud. Proud. Painful to hear. They sang about battles and blood and victory. The reptile hissed insults at anyone who came near. Their voices were sharp like broken glass. Every species had something to say. Every species wanted to be heard. No one wanted to listen. Wars started over small things. A wrong word. A misunderstood message. An insult shouted across space. Empires fell because no one would sit down and talk. They only knew how to scream. Into this noise came a new species. Humans. They came from a small blue planet at the edge of the galaxy. Their ships were slow. Their technology was old. Their army was small. No one was afraid of them. The humans arrived quietly. They did not broadcast propaganda. They did not scream threats. They did not argue with anyone. They just arrived. The Xylos laughed. Look at the quiet ones, they said. They are too weak to speak. The Krog laughed too. They will be easy to crush. They do not even know how to shout. The Dragol ignored the humans completely. They are not worth our time, they said. The humans did not argue. They did not shout back. They simply listened. A human diplomat named Sarah was sent to meet the Xylos. The Xylos leader screamed at her for 3 hours. He called humans weak. Stupid. Useless. Sarah said nothing. She just listened. When he was finished, Sarah spoke. Her voice was soft. So soft that the Xylos leader had to lean forward to hear her. Thank you for sharing your thoughts, she said. Would you like some tea? The Xylos leader did not know what to say. No one had ever thanked him for screaming. No one had ever offered him tea. What is tea? He asked. Sarah smiled. A warm drink. It helps you relax. The Xylos leader was confused. He did not know how to relax. He only knew how to shout. But he tried the tea. He sat quietly for the first time in his life. And he felt something strange. Peace. A human named Marcus was sent to the Krog. The Krog leader screamed threats for 5 hours. He said he would destroy Earth. He said he would eat human children. He said terrible things. Marcus listened. He did not run. He did not cry. He just listened. When the Krog leader was finished, Marcus said one sentence. That sounds very painful for you. The Krog leader stopped. What? Being so angry all the time, Marcus said. It must hurt. The Krog leader had never thought about this. He was always angry. Always screaming. Always threatening. He did not know any other way. It is tiring, he said quietly. Marcus nodded. Would you like to sit down? We can talk without screaming. Just for a little while. The Krog leader sat down. He did not scream. He just talked. About his home world. About his family. About his fears. Marcus listened. He did not judge. He did not argue. He just listened. On the Dragol home world, a human named Elena attended a meeting. The Dragol argued for 10 hours. They shouted over each other. No one listened. No one agreed. Elena sat in the back. She said nothing. She just watched. After 10 hours, the Dragol were tired. Their voices were gone. Their throats were sore. They sat in silence. Elena stood up. May I say something? She asked. The Dragol nodded. They were too tired to argue. I have listened to you all day, Elena said. And I noticed something. You all want the same thing. You want safety. You want respect. You want your children to be happy. You just say it in different ways. The Dragol looked at each other. They had never realized this. They had been so busy shouting that they never heard what the other was saying. Is that true? Asked one. I think, yes, said another. They did not start arguing again. They sat in silence, thinking. Slowly, something began to change in the galaxy. It was small at first, hard to notice. A Xylos broadcast went quiet for 1 hour. A Krog fleet stopped screaming threats. A Dragol meeting ended early because there was nothing left to argue about. The other species did not understand what was happening. They only knew that the noise was fading. And in the quiet, something new appeared. Listening. The humans had not shouted. They had not fought. They had not threatened. They had simply listened. And by listening, they had shown the galaxy something it had forgotten. Screaming never solved anything. But listening could change everything. The loudest species in the galaxy did not know why they were getting quieter. They only knew that screaming felt empty now. And silence felt nice. The humans smiled. They did not take credit. They did not give speeches. They just kept listening. Because they knew the truth. You cannot win a war by shouting. But you can end one by whispering. The war between the aviar and the reptile had lasted 100 years. 100 years of noise. Explosions. Screams. Endless shouting. No one remembered how the war started. Some said it was over land. Some said it was over a bad word. Some said it was over nothing at all. But after 100 years, the reason did not matter. The war was all they knew. The aviar were bird-like creatures. They lived in high mountains. They sang war songs every morning. Loud songs about victory and death. Their children grew up hearing only screams. The reptile were lizard-like creatures. They lived in hot deserts. They hissed insults at anyone who came near. Their young learned to hate before they learned to talk. Both sides had forgotten what they were fighting for. They just fought. Because that was what they had always done. The Galactic Council tried to help. Many times. They sent diplomats. They sent peacekeepers. They sent threats. Nothing worked. The aviar and the reptile would not stop screaming long enough to listen. Then the council sent a human. His name was Marcus. He was not a soldier. He was not a general. He was just a man who knew how to listen. The council warned him. The aviar and the reptile are impossible. They will scream at you for hours. They will not hear a word you say. Marcus nodded. That is fine, he said. I am not going to talk. I am going to ask a question. The council was confused. One question. That will not stop 100 years of war. We will see, said Marcus. He flew first to the aviar. Their leader was a tall bird-like woman named Queen Scylla. Her voice was loud. Very loud. She screamed at Marcus for 2 hours. The reptile are monsters. They stole our land. They killed our children. They will pay. We will fight forever. We will never stop. Marcus listened. He did not interrupt. He did not argue. He just listened. When Queen Scylla was finished, Marcus spoke. His voice was soft. Thank you for sharing, he said. May I ask one question? Queen Scylla was surprised. No one had ever thanked her for screaming. What is your question? She asked. Marcus looked at her with kind eyes. What do you actually want? Queen Scylla opened her mouth to scream again. But then she stopped. She thought about the question. What do I want? She said slowly. I want safety. I want my people to stop being afraid. I want to sleep at night without hearing explosions. Marcus wrote this down on a small piece of paper. Safety, he said. That is a good answer. Thank you. Then he flew to the reptile. Their leader was a large lizard-like man named King Thrax. He hissed at Marcus for 3 hours. The aviar are liars. They took our water. They poisoned our land. We will destroy them. We will never give up. Marcus listened. He did not run. He did not hide. He just listened. When King Thrax was finished, Marcus spoke. His voice was still soft. Thank you for sharing. May I ask one question? King Thrax hissed. What? Marcus looked at him with the same kind eyes. What do you actually want? King Thrax stopped hissing. He thought about the question. No one had ever asked him this before. What do I want? He said. I want resources. My people are hungry. Our land is dry. We need water. We need food. We need to survive. Marcus wrote this down on his small piece of paper. Resources, he said. That is a good answer. Thank you. Then Marcus flew back to his small ship. He looked at the two answers. Safety. Resources. He smiled. These were not enemies. These were two groups of tired, scared beings who had forgotten what they needed. Marcus asked the aviar and the reptile to meet in one place. A neutral world. No weapons. No soldiers. Just the two leaders and Marcus. They came. They sat on opposite sides of a small room. They did not scream. They just stared at each other with tired eyes. Marcus stood in the middle. He held up the small piece of paper. Queen Scylla wants safety, he said. She wants her people to stop being afraid. She wants to sleep at night without explosions. Queen Scylla nodded. Her eyes were wet. Marcus turned to the other side. King Thrax wants resources. He wants water and food for his hungry people. He wants to survive. King Thrax nodded. His head was low. Marcus put the paper down. Neither of you wants war. You want safety and resources. Those are not enemy wishes. Those are just needs. The room was silent. For the first time in 100 years, the AVR and the reptile were not screaming. They were listening. Queen Scylla spoke first. Her voice was soft, not loud like before. We have land. Good land. With water. King Thrax nodded slowly. We have mountains. Safe mountains. Good for hiding. Marcus smiled. So you can help each other. The two leaders looked at each other. They had been enemies for so long. They had forgotten how to be anything else. But in the quiet, something new appeared. Hope. Queen Scylla stood up. She walked to King Thrax. She did not scream. She did not hiss. She simply held out her hand. We have been fools, she said. 100 years of noise. And for what? King Thrax took her hand. His eyes were wet too. We forgot to listen, he said. We only knew how to shout. That day, the war ended. Not with a big explosion. Not with a victory speech. Not with a surrender. It ended with a whisper. Two tired leaders saying sorry. Two old enemies shaking hands. Two species finally hearing each other. Marcus flew home. His work was done. He did not feel like a hero. He felt like a man who had asked one question. Later, a reporter asked him how he stopped the war. Marcus shrugged. I did not stop it. They stopped it. I just reminded them that screaming never solved anything. Listening does. The reporter wrote this down. Then she asked, what is the most important thing you learned? Marcus thought for a moment. That every war is just a conversation that got too loud. And every peace is just a conversation that finally became quiet enough to hear. He walked away. Behind him, the galaxy was a little quieter. And a little better. The Nuru were a small species. They had soft fur and big eyes. Their bodies were small, like human children. They looked gentle and kind. But the Nuru were not gentle. They were terrified. For generations, the Nuru had been attacked. First by the Krog. Then by the Xylos. Then by pirates who saw their small world as an easy target. The attacks came again and again. The Nuru never knew when the next one would come. So they learned to be loud. Very loud. They screamed warnings all day and night. They built alarms that never stopped ringing. They shouted at every shadow. They cried at every sound. Their children had never known quiet. They were born into noise. They grew up with screams. They fell asleep to the sound of alarms. The Nuru adults thought this was normal. They thought fear was just part of life. They did not know any other way. The Galactic Council tried to help. They sent soldiers to protect the Nuru. They built walls around their cities. They gave them weapons. But the Nuru did not feel safe. They still screamed. They still cried. The noise never stopped. Then the Council sent humans. Not soldiers. Not generals. Just volunteers. Ordinary humans who wanted to help. The humans arrived on the Nuru world. They did not bring weapons. They did not bring alarms. They brought soft blankets, warm food, and quiet voices. The Nuru were confused. Where are your weapons? They asked. The human leader, a woman named Maya, smiled. We do not need weapons. We need to sit with your children. The Nuru did not understand. But they were too tired to argue. They let the humans in. The humans found the Nuru children hiding in dark rooms. The children were crying. Always crying. They had never stopped. Maya sat down on the floor. She did not shout. She did not run. She just sat there. A small Nuru child looked at her with big, scared eyes. Hello, Maya said softly. I am not here to hurt you. I am here to sit with you. The child did not answer. She just cried. Maya took out a soft blanket. She wrapped it around the child's small shoulders. Then she began to sing. A soft song. A quiet song. A song about the stars and the moon and sleeping. The child stopped crying for a moment. She had never heard a soft song before. All the songs she knew were loud. War songs. Warning songs. Screaming songs. But this song was different. This song was quiet. And it felt nice. Maya sang for an hour. Then 2 hours. Then 3. She did not stop. She did not get tired. She just kept singing. Slowly, the child stopped shaking. Her big eyes closed. She fell asleep. For the first time in her life, she slept without screaming. Other humans did the same. They sat with Nuru children. They wrapped them in warm blankets. They gave them warm food. They sang soft songs. They did not shout. They did not run. They just stayed. The Nuru adults watched from far away. They did not understand. Why are the humans not afraid? They asked. The danger could come at any time. But the humans did not worry about danger. They just kept sitting, kept singing, kept staying. Days passed. The Nuru children stopped crying so much. They still cried sometimes. But less. Much less. They learned that silence did not mean danger. Silence meant safety. Silence meant the humans were there. Silence meant warm blankets and soft songs. One night, a Nuru child named Luma looked at Maya. "Why are you not screaming?" she asked. "Everyone screams." Maya smiled. "Because screaming does not help. Sitting helps. Singing helps. Being quiet helps." Luma thought about this. But what if the bad guys come? Maya put her hand on Luma's small head. "Then we will be quiet together. And the bad guys will not know we are here. Noise tells them where we are. Silence hides us." Luma's eyes grew wide. She had never thought of this. All her life, she had been taught to scream. But screaming only told the attackers where to find her. "Silence is safe?" Luma asked. "Silence is very safe," Maya said. That night, Luma did not scream. She closed her eyes. She listened to Maya's soft song. And she fell asleep in the quiet. The Nuru adults watched their children. They saw the children stop crying. Stop screaming. Stop shaking. They saw the children smile for the first time. Something changed in the adults too. They began to turn off the alarms. One by one. The noise faded. The first quiet night came. No screams. No alarms. No crying. Just the soft sound of humans singing and Nuru children breathing. An old Nuru man sat outside his house. He looked at the stars. He had not seen the stars in years. The noise had been too loud. The fear had been too big. But now the noise was gone. And the stars were beautiful. A human sat next to him. They did not speak. They just sat there, quiet together. The old man started to cry. But not from fear. From relief. "I forgot what quiet felt like," he said. The human nodded. "It is nice, is it not?" The old man wiped his eyes. "Yes, it is very nice." Word spread across the galaxy. The Nuru world had gone quiet. Not because the danger was gone. The danger was still there. Pirates still roamed. Wars still happened. But the Nuru were not afraid anymore. Or at least, they were less afraid. And less fear meant less noise. Less noise meant more quiet. More quiet meant more peace. The Galactic Council asked Maya how she did it. "I did nothing special," she said. "I just sat with them. I sang to their children. I stayed when they expected me to leave. That is all." "But the fear?" asked the Council. "How did you take away their fear?" Maya shook her head. "I did not take it away. Fear never really goes away. But it can become smaller. Small enough to fit inside a quiet song. Small enough to forget for a few hours. Small enough to sleep." The council was silent. They did not understand. But they wrote down her words anyway. That night, on the Nuru world, the children slept without crying. Their parents slept without alarms. And the humans slept on the floor next to them, still singing soft songs. The galaxy was a little quieter now. And a little braver. Because a small species had learned that silence was not the enemy. Fear was. And fear could be quieted with a blanket, a song, and someone who refused to leave. The Galactic Council met once every year. The meetings were famous across the galaxy. Not for solving problems. For being loud. Very loud. The Xylos screamed about their enemies. The Krog shouted about their demands. The Dragul argued with everyone. The Aviar sang war songs. The Reptile hissed insults. Every species had something to say. No one wanted to listen. The meetings lasted for days. Sometimes weeks. Nothing ever got solved. Because no one could hear anything over the noise. This year's meeting was the worst yet. The Xylos and the Krog were shouting at each other about a small moon. Both claimed it belonged to them. Both refused to stop screaming. The Dragul were arguing about trade routes. The Aviar were singing about old battles. The Reptile were hissing at anyone who walked by. The council leader, an old being named Zor, sat at the front. He tried to speak. No one heard him. He tried to raise his hand. No one saw him. After 6 hours of noise, Zor put his head in his hands. "This is hopeless," he whispered. But no one heard him either. In the back of the room sat a human. Her name was Elena. She was not a leader. She was not a general. She was just a diplomat. Small, quiet, easy to ignore. She had been sitting for 6 hours, listening, watching, waiting. The other species did not notice her. They were too busy shouting. The humans were new to the council. No one expected much from them. Elena stood up. No one saw her. She walked to the front of the room. No one noticed. She stood next to council leader Zor. Still, no one saw her. She waited. The shouting continued. The screaming continued. The noise was terrible. Elena waited longer. 1 minute passed. 2 minutes. 5 minutes. Slowly, the shouting began to fade. Not because anyone stopped, but because they were getting tired. Voices were getting sore. Throats were getting dry. After 10 minutes, the room was quiet. Not completely, but quiet enough for a soft voice to be heard. Elena spoke. Her voice was very soft, almost a whisper, but in the quiet, everyone heard her. "I have one question," she said. The leaders looked at her. They were surprised. They had forgotten she was there. "If you all stopped shouting for 1 hour," Elena said, "would any of you actually lose anything?" The room was silent. No one answered. The Xylo's leader opened his mouth to shout. Then he closed it. He thought about the question. Would he lose anything by being quiet for an hour? No. He would lose nothing. The Krog leader wanted to scream a threat. But he stopped. He thought about the question. Being quiet for an hour would not hurt him. It might even help his sore throat. The Dragol wanted to argue. But they had nothing to argue about. The question had no answer. Because the answer was nothing. They would lose nothing by being quiet. Elena sat down. She did not say anything else. She just sat today. The room stayed quiet. 1 minute passed. 2 minutes. 5 minutes. Then something strange happened. The Xylo's leader spoke. But he did not shout. He spoke in a normal voice. Soft. Calm. "We want the moon because it has water," he said. "Our people are thirsty." The Krog leader listened. He did not interrupt. He did not hiss. He just listened. Then he spoke, also in a normal voice. "We want the moon because it has minerals. Our machines need fuel." The Xylo's leader nodded. "So you need minerals. We need water. The moon has both." "Yes," said the Krog leader. They looked at each other. For the first time, they were not enemies. They were just two leaders with two needs. And the moon could help both of them. "Maybe we can share," said the Xylo's leader. "Maybe we can," said the Krog leader. The Dragol watched this happen. They were shocked. The Xylos and the Krog had been enemies for 50 years. And now they were talking. Not shouting. Talking. The Dragol leader stood up. He spoke in a normal voice too. "We have been arguing about trade routes for 20 years, he said. But I do not remember why." His enemy, the other Dragol leader, nodded. "Neither do I. We just got used to arguing." "Maybe we can stop," said the first. "Maybe we can," said the second. One by one, the leaders spoke. Not shouting. Not screaming. Just talking. They talked about their problems. They listened to each other's answers. They found solutions that worked for everyone. The meeting that should have taken weeks ended in 3 hours. A peace agreement was signed. Not because anyone won, but because everyone finally stopped shouting long enough to hear. After the meeting, an alien reporter ran up to Elena. "How did you do it?" she asked. "How did you make them stop?" Elena smiled. She looked tired but happy. "I did not do anything," she said. "I just stopped adding to the noise." The reporter was confused. "That is all?" Elena nodded. "That is all." The room was full of people shouting. No one could hear anything. "I did not shout. I did not argue. I just waited. And when the room got quiet enough, I asked one question." "But why did they listen?" asked the reporter. Elena thought for a moment. Because they were tired. They had been shouting for years. Decades. Centuries. They forgot what silence felt like. I reminded them. Silence is not empty. Silence is space. Space to think. Space to listen. Space to understand. The reporter wrote this down. "So silence is a tool." "Yes," said Elena. "The most powerful tool there is. You cannot win a war with silence. But you can end one." She walked away. Behind her, the council room was still quiet. The leaders were sitting together, talking softly, laughing a little. For the first time in history, they looked like friends. The reporter watched them and smiled. She wrote one more line in her notebook. Today, a human woman did not save the galaxy. She just made it quiet enough to hear itself think. And that was enough. The galaxy would remember this day. Not as the day a great battle was won, but as the day everyone finally stopped screaming and started listening. Years later, the galaxy was different. The change was so slow that most beings did not notice it at first. But one day, they woke up and realized something. The noise was gone. The Xylos had stopped broadcasting propaganda. Their channels played music now. Soft music, the kind that made you feel calm. The Krog had stopped screaming threats. Their fleets sat quietly in their home system. The leaders spent their days gardening. Gardening. No one could believe it. The Dragol had stopped arguing. Their meetings lasted 1 hour instead of 10. They laughed together now. They told jokes. They shared food. The Aviar still sang. But not war songs. They sang lullabies. Songs about stars and dreams and sleeping. The reptiles stopped hissing. They learned to say hello instead. They learned to smile. It looked strange on their lizard faces. But it was nice. The galaxy was quiet. Not empty. Just quiet. An alien journalist named Krell wanted to understand what had happened. She traveled across the galaxy, asking the same question to everyone she met. How did the noise stop? Most beings did not know the answer. They just knew that one day, the screaming felt wrong. Silence felt better. But Krell wanted more. She wanted the truth. So she traveled to Earth, the human home world. She found a human leader named Elena. The same Elena who had asked the question at the council meeting years ago. Elena was old now. Her hair was gray. Her face had wrinkles. But her eyes were still kind. Still soft. Krell sat across from her. How did humans save the galaxy? She asked. Elena shook her head. We did not save it. We just made it quieter. That is all. Krell was confused. But the wars stopped. The fighting ended. Empires stopped screaming. How is that not saving? Elena thought for a moment. She looked out the window at the blue sky. Imagine a room full of people screaming, she said. No one can hear anything. Everyone is shouting. Everyone is angry. No one is listening. Krell nodded. Yes, that was the galaxy. Then one person stopped screaming, Elena said. Then another. Then another. Soon, the room is quiet enough for people to actually hear each other. That is what we did. We did not fix anything. We did not win any battles. We just stopped making the noise worse. Krell wrote this down. But that sounds like saving to me. Elena smiled. Maybe. But we did not think of it that way. We just thought, screaming never helped anyone. So we stopped. And then other species stopped too. Not because we asked them to. Because they were tired. Everyone was tired. They just needed someone to stop first. Krell was quiet for a moment. She thought about all the wars. All the screaming. All the years of noise. So humans were not heroes, she said. You were just the first ones to be quiet. Elena nodded. Yes, that is exactly right. We were not the strongest. We were not the smartest. We were just the quietest. And in a galaxy full of noise, quiet is the most powerful thing there is. Krell finished her interview. She thanked Elena and left. On her way back to her ship, she saw something that stopped her heart. A human child was sitting on a hill. The child was small, maybe 5 years old. She had brown hair and a yellow dress. She was looking at the sky. The stars were just starting to appear. The sun was setting. The world was quiet. The child closed her eyes. She tilted her head. She was listening. Krell walked closer. She did not want to interrupt. But she was curious. What are you listening to? Krell asked softly. The child opened her eyes. She smiled. The stars, she said. Krell was confused. The stars do not make sound. The child shook her head. Yes, they do. They hum. Listen. Krell listened. She heard nothing. Just wind. Just quiet. But the child heard something else. Something beautiful. Something that had been there all along. Covered by years of noise. Years of screaming. Years of war. The stars were humming. Softly. Gently. Like a lullaby. Krell sat down next to the child. She listened again. And this time, she heard it. A soft hum. Very soft. Almost too soft to hear. But it was there. It had always been there. The noise was too loud before, the child said. I could not hear them. But now the noise is gone. And the stars are singing. Krell felt tears in her eyes. She had spent her whole life in a loud galaxy. She had never heard the stars before. She did not know they could sing. "Thank you," Krell whispered. Not to the child. To the humans. To the quiet ones. To the beings who had finally stopped shouting. She wrote one last line in her notebook. The humans did not save the galaxy. They did not win any wars. They did not defeat any enemies. They simply turned down the volume. And in the quiet, the galaxy remembered how to listen. How to hope. How to hum. Krell looked at the stars. The child was still listening. Still smiling. Still hearing the song that had been there all along. The galaxy was quiet now. Not empty. Just quiet. And in the quiet, everything was possible. The wars were over. Not because someone won. Because no one wanted to scream anymore. The fighting had stopped. Not because someone surrendered. Because everyone was finally tired enough to listen. And the stars hummed on. Softly. Gently. Beautifully. For the first time in history, the galaxy heard them. And it was enough. More than enough. It was peace.